string and going by having broken down that way.
I have two things. I love the fact that you guys did this in sort of a non-threatening, non-mathematical way, because I got freaked out by the math type stuff that you brought up at the beginning, but then it was fine. And then the other thing is I really appreciated was the number of real-world examples that you included, because I could really relate to what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was one of the main things I wrote down for both of you, was that this lesson did such a good job of pulling in these examples and these ideas that it actually, I've had 2 econ courses, and it's still hard for me to understand because it's not my area, but I got what you were talking about. You did such a good job of relating it to what we have, what we do, what we know. And it's a good way to make them take ownership of it. And I even wrote down in the notes that you can watch it. As you're going through this, throughout the class, you can watch students also, go from being kind of distracted to being into the lesson and to actually wanting to participate in the next example. Like, I want to say something about that. So it was great. It was a good job of doing that.
My 2 things is I like the exit ticket as your form of assessment. Like, it's really quick, painless, and it can be collected at the end of class. It doesn't feel overwhelming to do it. And I also like the real world because even though there was a lot of side conversation, the funny thing was the side conversation remained on economics to some degree, like talking about, I like bananas, like that's an opportunity or a comparative advantage, and like said that, but it was a funny side comment, but it had to actually do with the lesson instead of like driving the side, like I don't know, I can't really, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, it's
I can't articulate it, but like even though there was side comments, like they had, every one of them had to do with what we were talking about, and it kind of made it even more enjoyable to have like those funny, like my comparative advantage was Dave is good at talking. So
It actually says making trouble.
making trouble.
Oh, what? Okay, now that's messed up. Talking, I'll accept.
well, if both are true, both are true.
That's just derogatory. I don't appreciate it. That's
I
a
have
lot.
one more, but you can
No, go for
Yeah,
it.
you're right.
I would say overall, the reason I feel like this entire lesson, which, by the way, I've seen economics taught, and I've never touched this subject myself, besides on a very small scale, but I've seen it taught by other people, and it felt very flat because it was a very dry lesson. It was a very, they tried to take it, and it was simple economics. It was the same thing that you did, but it was very dry because they were trying to be so serious with it. And so I think that you guys did just, again, the activities, the involvement that we had going throughout the classroom, and Heath did such a good job of explaining that.